What's up everyone, Sigs here, and today we have something a little different. This is an idea that I've had for years at this point, and as someone who has literally purchased thousands of singles from vendors through TCGPlayer and other marketplaces, I think it might be pretty interesting. What we're going to be doing is simply opening up these random orders that I got in the mail, seeing how they're all packaged, and potentially rating them. I've seen some pretty wild card packing over the years, and I feel like a lot of vendors package the cards in what they think is a reasonable manner, but they don't ever end up actually opening their own packaging, so they might not realize how unreasonable it really is. Now, I've done my best to hide the vendor names, and I won't be naming any of them directly. I don't want to direct any undue hate towards anyone if one of these does end up being packaged poorly, but I still think it could be a good way for vendors or other card sellers to see what works and what doesn't so that they can update their packing practices if needed. I will also have to be just a little careful when I open them, just in case the information is also displayed inside. Now, none of these cards are anything too crazy. It's mostly a bunch of relatively cheap Pokémon TCG singles that I purchased just to fill out some random slots in a binder, but there might be one or two cool cards in here. I have no idea what kind of packaging we're about to see. These could all be very reasonable, in which case this will be a pretty boring video, but we might find some interesting stuff too, so let's get into it. I'm going to stack these up just so we can get a clear look at everything. Move these just a little bit off to the side, like so, and we'll break right into the first one. So usually the way that I open these is actually just tearing along the side like this. Make sure there's nothing important in there, no cards, no information that you want to keep. But once you do this, well, my own tape's getting in the way, but once you do this, you can quite easily just slide out whatever's in there. So let me take a peek first, make sure we have any information hidden. Yeah, gonna pull just there's an order slip in here. I'm gonna pull that out with all my information on it, and just the cards right there. Boom. So, let's see what we have here. This seems pretty solid to me. So one thing too to consider if you're a vendor thinking about becoming one, all the cost that goes into all this extra packaging, you have to factor in too, in addition to seller fees and all that kind of stuff. But this seems pretty good. If we could figure out what is this, double packed? This is interesting. We got one here. No, it's just one. I just am stupid. So, okay, nice in a protector there. And then sleeved in, each card individually sleeved in its own sleeve, back to back in a hard case. That's pretty much about as good as it gets. Wasn't taped down to anything, wasn't all crammed together in one pack or anything like that. That's pretty good. I'd give that I don't want to give it a 10 right off the bat, but that's pretty much what you want to see. So that's a good start. We'll do the next one here. I could feel the card is here, so we will rip just this little edge where I don't feel anything. I know I could just open it regularly. It is taped here, which is another thing I find on a lot of vendors. They tape these labels down to keep them sealed, which is a good idea, but it also makes it a lot harder to open, which is a little irrelevant when you just rip through, but I can't because my tape job is all over the place here. Usually it wouldn't be such an issue without the tape, but we're gonna just get this little corner here. And again, I'm gonna take a peek inside first, make sure there's no information on the packing slip. Alrighty, we'll slide it out. Okay, so a little jump cut there because it is all folded up in the packing slip, which has some information on it that we don't want anyone to see. So we just unfolded it out of there. It's just paper folded over the cards, which again, I mean, this looks wonderful. Pretty much what you want to see. So we'll check out what's going on in here. Like so. Okay, a little bit different than the first one. You'll see we have one, so there's one hard case in the back to keep everything flat. These two loose. They're in their own individual single sleeve, not in double sleeve, which is okay, I guess. I don't love things being single sleeved unless it's a perfect fit sleeve, because they will slide around just ever so slightly in the mail, you know, and get some scratches, but it's not the end of the world. That's okay. And then this one, I have no idea the value of any of these, if they put the more valuable one in the hard case or not, but one single card, wow, that's like double sleeved in a hard case. So this one got the good treatment. These two, maybe they were cheaper again. I don't know the prices offhand. Just kind of sliding around in there, which isn't great. But all in all, very good. If that last one was a 10, this would be an 8.5 just because of the 2 loose cards, I would say. But all in all, that's pretty good as well. So far so good. We'll leave some of these different style packagings for later, mix it up with this long flat one. There is something to be said too for how the front looks, just as far as if it's handwritten or if it's printed out. If it's printed, it might look more professional, but also a little more impersonal. If it's handwritten, sometimes that feels really nice, like you're getting a piece of handwritten mail. If the handwriting's terrible or sloppy, though, it could be a little off-putting. So there's something to be said for that too with your packaging, but all in all, that's pretty minor. So all right, so we'll do one more big envelope here. Something to be said too for the different style of envelopes. As you can see, this is pretty typical. This is what most people send. Whatever dimensions this are, 11 by, I don't know, whatever it is. It's the same size as the paper. So again, the invoice tucks in quite nicely. I can feel the cards here, so I'll rip on this side where my tape is, which again, if the tape wasn't there, this is usually a lot easier. But as long as you feel and you're careful and you know what you're ripping through, just a nice little tear on the side, and then you could access everything easily. It's just a lot better than peeling this open. You know, in this case, this one isn't bad, but sometimes you get like licked envelopes and they just rips and tears and you're touching people's saliva or whatever. So I just prefer to do it this way personally. Now we'll slide the envelope out. Okay. Again, I don't want to out anyone, but hopefully this is vague enough it doesn't matter. So I have a little signature on the bottom there with maybe a message. It's just a signature. I do like that, you know, a little thank you in handwriting. It just makes it feel a lot more personal. I do like vendors that do that. I know it can add a lot of extra time, and if you're not like sincere about it, it probably doesn't really add much, but it's just a nice touch. So I do like that. Now we will slide this out, and I can't show you again because the order number and everything's on it. But we have just the folded paper. I can show you if I'm going to fold this a little bit more, cover that order number, but you could see it's the packing is just kind of tucked into the paper like this. It's not taped like the last one was, so it'll just slide right out. So this is keeping it secure. This was the bottom of the envelope, so this little top of the paper is keeping it nice and secure against the bottom of the envelope, so it's not moving. It could move up and down, you know, but it's not going to wiggle around too much, and it's not taped, so we can just slide it right out. Oh, and the vendor name is on it. So let me I'll just show you the back, which does not have the company's branding on it. These are okay. I've seen these before where they say do not tuck, because you don't actually want to tuck this part in, because, you know, it could damage the cards, and it's difficult to untuck it. I see it often where it's taped like this, horizontally, and that's a pain too to try to go through the tape. What I think you should do with these, which again adds a lot of time, so I don't blame people for not doing it, especially when it was folded closed by the invoice, is do the thing where you have the little piece of tape with the tab on it, where you just fold the tape on itself, so you have a little tab. That way you can just pull that right off. It keeps it a little more secure. I'll dock a 0.5 point for that, even though it really doesn't matter. And these are typically fine. The cards can slide around in there a little bit. They're pretty well sized where they're not going to move. There's, whatever, this is like 1/8 of an inch of wiggle where they can go up and down. They won't go side to side at all. But as long as they're sleeved, that's perfectly fine. So this one's good so far. Let me get this out of here. And I'll just show you the cards. Look at Ho-Ho, Rayquaza. There you go. Some cool legendaries. Again, nothing really fancy, just filling out some binder slots. But we have pretty good sleeves. These are almost, they're not quite the perfect fit. They're the slightly larger size, so there's a bit of wiggle, but it's not bad. Again, if you're going to go in a looser sleeve, I prefer the double sleeve. I'd rather you just not use like an expensive sleeve. This is from an ETB, isn't it? Just use a cheap penny sleeve. It's the perfect fit. It's not going to allow the card to move at all, and it's so much cheaper than using actual sleeves. That's just what I think, but this is fine, totally fine. All the cards are sleeved. They're in that nice tight packaging that I already threw away, and Yeah, I mean, this is like half a point off for not taping down the flap, but that's really nitpicky. I mean, this is a good, you know, 9.5, 9, whatever you want to call it. It's fine. It's good packaging. Call it a 9. All right, move on to the next one. We have, let's do a small one. We haven't done a small one in a while. So this one's very different, so that'll be interesting. This is just a typical envelope, a little bit thicker paper. I can feel the card press right here. We're going to rip through. This is just going to be hard to rip through because of my tape job, no other reason. The flap here is right here. It goes, there's a giant sticker, like a printed mail sticker with all the address and everything on it, that covers this flap. So, like, how the heck am I gonna, get this open, this corner here, through the flap? I can't. So we're docking a point for that. But again, typically I just rip through the side or the top anyway, so it's not a big deal. It's just, I mean, it's good to keep the flap sealed with the sticker. It just makes it harder to open it that way. Now this is all on me choosing to open it in this strange way. This is in no way a reflection of the vendor, but so I'm gonna again slide it out so I can see first what we got going on. Nothing else in the envelope. Throw that away. Okay, so I think I can show you this. So what they've done, they don't have the full invoice, but they've taped the cards to the packing slip that has also on the packing slip the cards and the price and the order number and all that kind of stuff, which I think is fine. I do like when they include that. They've taped both sides of it though, so in order to get this out, I wish I could show you this, I just don't want to have to like blur the information. I'm just going to pull gently on both ends, which isn't too hard to do, and we end up with the package. Again, you can see this was double taped to just the back of like a adhesive packing label, and that's fine. You can see that. Okay, so we just talked about this on the last one. They tucked the flap. You're not supposed to do that, because you'll see I have to squeeze the sides pretty hard to get it open enough to get my finger in there to get this back out. So now I'm squeezing my cards, bending them, putting pressure on the edges, which isn't good. And I find, man, you really have to like dig in here to get this, to get it to flip back out. I grabbed the corner there. I didn't have to do too much, but I just don't like that we have to squeeze the cards. Why are we doing this? Put it here, put a little piece of tape with a flap, or in this case, because we have it taped, it was taped down like this anyway, that's going to hold the flap closed, guys. We don't need to be tucking it in there so it's pushing against the cards and I have to dig in there to get it. So it's a point off for that as well. So there we go. That's all that's in there. These are good though. Again, I like these. There's like no horizontal movement and there's just a tiny bit of lateral movement. But as long as they're sleeved, that's fine. This sleeve is super loose. This is not a great sleeve for Pokemon cards anyway. Again, go with a perfect fit sleeve. They're so cheap. The cards slide in easy and there's zero movement on the card. Well, this is not a perfect fit. What on earth even is it a side loader? What is this? What are we dealing with here? Okay, this is double sleeved. Yeah. So this is nice. It's an Ultra Pro clear sleeve, I believe. It looks like Ultra Pro on there. It's not going to focus, but take my word for it. So this is nice. I mean, this is more than I would expect for a card, unless it was maybe like a high value card as far as the double sleeving. But this is a nice perfect fit sleeve, so I know you have them. Why aren't you putting this in there? Into a harder secondary sleeve. So this card is secure, man. This thing is not moving at all. This is great card packaging. Again, more than I would even expect. And this one's fine. It's just this sleeve is really loose. I don't know if that's getting picked up, but you could see the difference here between where the card is and where the sleeve is. You see all that movement? So just not the best sleeve here. Again, I know vendors are going through hundreds and thousands of these sleeves and it's an extra cost, but you can get them in bulk for pretty cheap. We don't need to be using just old whatever we have lying around kind of stuff. The customers notice that, and interesting. I ordered everything near mint. This is LP, so this is near mint. I mean, it looks near mint to me. So they literally just grabbed an old sleeve from an old lightly played card and just slammed this in there. which, you know, I'm not going to fault them too much for. It's sleeved. It was in the tight packaging. It's just you could do a little better. Your customers do notice stuff like that, and it's just a much better experience when you know your cards are being secured, especially with the way that the mail can get handled sometimes. No disrespect to our mailmen, but that's an okay one. I would dock points for the flap being taped closed, so I can't get into the package, the envelope, the way that it's intended. I would dock points definitely for closing that cardboard flap, especially when it wasn't needed the way that it was taped down. But I'd also dock points for again, taping cards to anything in a package, unnecessary, and I dock a point for the loose sleeve. So, I don't know, add that up. I'd call that like a 6.5 maybe. Not awful. I mean, it's totally fine. I'm being nitpicky here, but it's just, there's room for improvement, right? So, we'll go to another one of these. Again, kind of the standard. We have, these adhesive labels. They come off pretty easily, but I'm still going to rip through the side just because it just seems to always be quicker and easier for me. And it will also allow me to check out what's in there. The only reason this is so difficult is because I have this dumb tape on it to hide the stuff, so it's usually a lot easier than that. Okay, so I'm going to peek inside first. Okay, so this one, I believe I could show you no packing slip at all, which is fine. I prefer when it's included, but again, that's an additional cost. Okay, something interesting here. So, card in the hard case, we like that. In a sleeve in the hard case, we like to, although it's not a perfect fit sleeve, tape on the top, it's just never a good idea. In this case, it's not the end of the world. If this is double sleeved in here, then that's fine, because even if the card pops up and touches the tape, it's going to be protected by the inner sleeve. If it's not in a second sleeve, now the card, because again, these can get jostled around a lot in transport, the card could pop out of the top and stick to this adhesive, and it could start pulling off the edges of the card, slightly, but if you're trying to grade a card, stuff like that matters. So we don't love that. And also, how the heck am I supposed to get in here? I gotta peel at these corners, like so, which I am never very good at, or you could, slide a nail through here to just cut it. I will give them points for masking tape. Masking tape is like, if you're going to use tape, the best tape you could use. It's not very adhesive. You don't have to pull that hard. It tears very easily. So points for masking tape. I like the green color too, so props on that. But we just don't like taping the top of our top loaders. I will say, let me do this gently. I will say, if you are not going to include the packing slip, let me get the envelope, hang on. I think it was this one. So if you're going to, because then the question is, okay, well, how do I keep the card from sliding out? Like, this is a good thought, right? Like, I don't want the card itself to come out of the hard case because it's getting jostled around, so let me keep that sealed. This is where just wrapping it in the packing slip, the TCGPlayer piece of paper that shows you the card and the order number and the address on it and everything, you can just fold it up in there, and that's not going to unfold in an envelope, and that's going to keep it tucked in nicely. Even if it moves, it won't be able to come out because there's going to be the packing slip paper here, so that's better than a piece of tape. But I do appreciate them wanting to keep the card in here, because some people don't, and your card could just slide on out of this hard case and just be loose in this package getting pressed on by all the other mail, right? The other thing I would say, this size envelope is great for if you're including the packing slip. If you're not, why are you getting these big envelopes? Get a smaller envelope, save some money there. I'm not trying not to jump to conclusions, but if you're not including the packing slip with orders, you're probably trying to save some money, or even if you're not, you do save money by not having to print all of those little pieces of paper, the cost of the paper, the cost of the ink. So you could save even more money just by using a smaller, cheaper envelope, and then the card, doesn't have the room to slide around, so you don't need this tape. So anyway, that's my rant on tape on the top of these. But at the end of the day, it's fine. The card got here safe. It's, again, being really nitpicky. But we will take a look. Now, if this is not in a double sleeve... Oh. Jesus, man. It's not in any sleeve. Okay. I lied. There was a sleeve in there. I think I just didn't quite feel it. An old sleeve, but that's fine. So, if it's in this sleeve only, again, it's not a perfect fit sleeve. It's loose. Are we even in focus at all here? I haven't been paying any attention. Let's see. There you go. So you see all the, if we can get this to focus for just like half a second, you see all the loose room here? So the card is sliding around a lot, and the top is open. So now what you could have happen is the card slides out of this loose sleeve, out of the loose hard case, and gets stuck to the tape on the top. It would be very minor, but it's something where if you're going to try to be a professional, you know, these things matter to the people who are buying your cards. So what we want to see is ideally double sleeve if there's tape on top, or at least perfect fit sleeve, and do top down, so the opening's on the bottom. That way we're never going to get the card touching the tape. But if you do use these, they can be quite loose. You know, see the card there, and bop, slides right to the bottom and go like this. I could probably almost shake it out. Well, I guess not, because I'm pinching the bottom. Yeah, see, just slide the card right out. They do move around a lot in there quite easily. So if we're going to be putting cards in these, which are great, you know, we really want to have it be double sleeved, or at least in like the tightest perfect fit sleeve you could find, because this combination is just not great. And it's just interesting too, because like including this, you know, these are more expensive than just cheap little sleeves. So it's like you're spending money here, but then you're saving money by not including a packing slip, and you could be saving money by using a smaller envelope, and you're saving money by not using a smaller sleeve, and all this other stuff. So this is just kind of a mess. I don't know. You know, again, I'm trying not to judge these people too harshly. This could just be like some dude who's just doing his best with what he has, not some like large scale operation. But if you are a large scale operation and you're sending cards like this, you definitely may want to review your practices. You could save money here, and you could, you know, package things better. That's going to make your customers happier without really having to spend anything extra, just by changing the way you package it, which doesn't cost you anything. Okay, getting a little bit rambly here, but that one, honestly, we're going to give that like a 5-ish, 5.5, okay? It's fine. The card got here fine. There was no damage to the card. I'm being super nitpicky, but these are the things we're looking at. These are the things we're thinking about. That's the point of the video. Room for improvement. Something could have gone wrong. It didn't, but it could have. So for that reason, we're going to give it a little bit of a low score. Okay, we're going to do another big envelope before we go into the other small ones. Okay, same deal here. This is, I believe, adhesive. No, this is a licky sticky one. Sometimes people, you can get these little pads, little sponges. They're moist sponges, and you just dab the edge to stick it down. Otherwise, oh no, this is adhesive. I'm just talking out of my ass. This is adhesive, I think. I can't even tell. But anyway, I'm like a weird germaphobe, so I don't like touching other people's saliva randomly. Who knows who they are? So I don't prefer those. I mean, they could be using the little dabber thing. I don't know, but regardless, it's just not something I want to touch because I'm weird. So we prefer adhesive ones, which I don't. This isn't. No, this is definitely a lick and stick. So that's part of the reason I always try to open it from the side like this too, in addition to the fact that it's just easier to get the stuff out. So something to consider. Pre-adhesive envelopes are not that much more, and they will save your tongue or save you time from having to do the sponge sticky thing. So something to keep in mind. So we're going to take a peek in here. Now again, we have the packing slip inside with the card tucked in nicely. Okay, nothing else in here. We can get rid of that. So, okay, this is actually a slightly more valuable card. I think I can show you all of this. Quantity, price, name of the card. Yeah, this doesn't have any information of the vendor or mine on it. So this is how it was in the envelope. And you can see here how it's just tucked in, not taped like this. That's great. This fold is going to keep this from moving too much. And then the fact that this is about the same size as the envelope is going to prevent any of this from shuffling around very much. So this is fine. We like when people do this. And then we can just slide out the card protector there. Okay, so Just look at the front. Yeah, nothing on the front, so that's fine. You can see it. Here we go. They did not tuck the flap. In fact, is this an adhesive flap? What did they do? This is just a self-adhesive flap? Or did they put tape? Oof. Yikes. I am actually not sure. I've never really seen one like that. I'm not sure if they sell these pre-adhesived or if this is something that they put on it. I love that it's not tucked in 100%. I just don't like how hard that was to pull off. If this is something you're putting on yourself, maybe just try for a slightly softer adhesive. This isn't going to pop open in transit, right? It's sandwiched between the invoice and the envelope levels, so it's not going anywhere. You don't even have to tape this down. It's nice and stuck. It's not going to open. It would have to come out this far, okay? Your envelope is not going to stretch that far. There's no physical way for this to open up all the way because it would have to go this far, right? So we don't even need the adhesive on there. I appreciate it. That's fine. I just would use a lighter adhesive if possible because that was a little bit, I had to push pretty hard to get that open. And you don't even need it, but I do appreciate it. I'm very happy that this wasn't tucked, so that's good. One thing I'm noticing, though, now when I go to slide the card out, I have to go past this adhesive, so we're going to need to fold the top all the way back. We're getting adhesive on our fingers, and we're about to touch our nice card, so I'm liking this adhesive less and less, to be honest with you. If this is something that TCG Guardian sells pre-adhesed, if that's a word, and they sell non-adhesive ones that are cheaper, dude, save the money. Don't spend the extra getting this. It's not necessary. Maybe you use them for other things. Maybe you want to keep it sealed while you're carrying it around, but for when you're shipping, you don't need this, and it's just creating issues, making me have to fold more, making me have to pull against the front of the card, getting adhesive on my fingers onto the nice card I'm about to touch. It's just not necessary. So we will slide the card out, and this is popping back, which again, I don't want it to touch the card even though the sleeve is there. And this is fine. It's I think that's a perfect fit sleeve, single sleeved. We like to see double sleeved on cards that are like more than $20, but not going to fault someone for that. What on earth is going on with this card, though? It's curled, first of all, which is fine, whatever. You can uncurl that. This was supposed to be near mint. There's a ding on this. Can you see that right there? You see that? Yeah, right there. Look at that ding. I mean, I guess by TCGPlayer rules, this is still near mint. But that's really a shame to see. This was supposed to be near mint. God, look at the centering on it, too. Holy crap. So they just gave me the worst freaking card possible with a ding totally off center. I mean, what is this? Like be lucky to get a 6, a 5? Look at that centering, my God. They gave me the absolute worst promo. That's a bit of a shame to see, but it is what it is. That's what you get when you order from TCGPlayer, They have a pretty broad categorization for near mint, so I'm not going to fault them on that. And that's not even what we're talking about today. We're talking about the packaging. Packaging was fine. We like the envelope. We like the packing slip folded over this in the envelope, so this is not moving. We'd prefer a double sleeve on a more expensive card, but a perfect fit sleeve is good. We love this. We love that it wasn't tucked. We don't love the adhesive. I'd honestly give this like a 6.5, 7. Is really good in all the ways. Just the adhesive, the little bit of looseness at the top, because again, you can see, I showed you this on the other one, but if we tuck the card in, whoops, Jesus, how do we even get that back in there? There we go. The card all the way at the bottom, there's quite a bit of room for it to move. So if you don't have the double sleeve, then the card can slide out of the inner sleeve and scuff against this. So we're taking some points off for that. I'm trying not to impact or allow the fact that this is so off-centered and has a big ding in it impact my score. We're only rating the packaging here. So I'm going to give that like a 6.5, honestly. A lot of things right, but just a couple areas for improvement. So not a bad score, but you could do better. And you could, you don't need that adhesive, so you could save some money there with the way that you're already packaging everything else, so why not do that? Okay, got 3 more big envelopes. We got 2 of these. let's do this one. I've been eyeing this one for a while. So this is a bubble mailer. More expensive, a little more secure, probably unnecessary, to be honest. You could save a few bucks and get some just cheap envelopes like everyone else is doing. Adhesive, this pulls off easy, so that's fine. These you could rip okay as well too, especially on the top here where there's no like bubble plastic. It's thicker on the sides with the bubble plastic. I'm just gonna rip it instead of pulling the adhesive off, because again, then we have adhesive to slide the card past. I can rip that a lot cleaner when I'm not in the position that I'm in now. Okay, so we'll take a peek inside. We'll see. Can I show you this? Nope, that is all my information on there. Okay, so it was like this. I think this you can see. It was like this in there, which is fine. I'm glad they included the packing slip. Kind of a weird fold, because it's not... If they could fold it the exact width of this, then it's not going to slide around as much. There is a little bit of give for the card to move, but that shouldn't really matter because they have the card incredibly well packaged, just like those first two that we opened. So we get the extra sleeve, which vendors that do this we love. I almost feel like it's like they're doing too much, you know, spending all this money on extra stuff, but they're even protecting the hard case. So I'm getting like a free, nice condition hard case out of this. So that's wonderful. We love that. What we don't love is the tape on the top, which, again, I get that you don't want the card to come out, but these cards are not moving. I mean, I shook that pretty hard, and it's not moving. Part of that maybe is because the tape is just keeping this pinched closed a little bit. If they are going to tape it, I mean, they use the tiniest amount possible. None of this has even been in focus this whole time, huh? They use the tiniest amount possible there, which we do appreciate. We don't like a big line over the top. I just always find it's hard to get this off. Again, if you have a nail, you know, you can just slice through like that. It's not that big a deal. Otherwise, you have to squeeze this way. How can I get this in angle? You kind of gotta squeeze it open enough to get your finger in there to pop it open like I just did, and we don't love squeezing the edges like that. What I would prefer to see is just... Okay, it's two cards in one loose pack, which we don't love because they're rubbing against each other. What I prefer to see is just a perfect fit sleeve, double sleeved. If you're putting two cards in one of these, they really don't move that much. The tape's not bad, but it's just not our favorite is all. Now, two cards in a loose sleeve we also don't love. Thankfully, they put them back to back. But if these were like, if there were multiple cards and there was like a face touching a back or faces touching faces in a loose sleeve like this, they're going to be rubbing, and that's not something we want to see either. So this is okay. I mean, the bubble mailer is just like extra protection. We love the hard case. The hard case in this, so that even if somehow they were to get out of the hard case, they're not going to go anywhere, is great. The tape we don't love, but if you're going to tape it using this teeny tiny amount, is about as good as you could do, so that's okay. We don't love the loose sleeve. We'd prefer two perfect fit sleeves, or double sleeved with perfect fit sleeve and something like this in there. Also, again, with this, it was open at the top. It was like this in there, so the card could slide out and touch the tape, which again, it's like a teeny amount of tape. It doesn't really matter. I'm being nitpicky, but we're just saying if we want to get a 10, if we want everything to be perfect, these are things we could think about. So I'd give this one, I don't know, about a 7.5 again, maybe. It's fine. The cards got here safe and sound. They're in good shape. I have no reason to be concerned. It's just there's some room for improvement, as hopefully you've seen with some of these other ones. So that's that. Let's do a couple more of these, and then we'll look at the other small one. Let me just take a breath here. Okay. Another big envelope. We can feel the card here. This is in a soft, I can already tell. It's not in a hard case. It's in one of those like top loader soft cases, which allows a lot more bend. I mean, you could fold this in half if you tried. We don't love that, but that's okay. I feel like there's no other paper in here, so I could literally just, you know, that's what I'm talking about. You just rip the side, boom, you're in. You don't have to fiddle with peeling this off. And this is another one, too, where they did their packing their shipping information, their shipping label, adhered over the flap, which, yeah, great for keeping your flap sealed, but then it's a pain for me to try to get in here because I have to tear through this extra layer. So that's something we don't love. We will see what's in here. Okay, so I can just slide the cards out, yes. There is also the same thing that one had, the cardboard one with the 2 pieces of tape on the side that it was taped to. This, okay, I had my order number on it, but this, adhesive thing, you can peel the back off and it's sticky. This is what that other cardboard one was taped to. So it has all the order information on there, which hopefully isn't visible through the envelope. And that's fine. I like when they include that. They don't need to, but I like when they do. And then the cards. Oh, it's just one card. This is the this cool poly whirl here. So I think he's single sleeved. Yeah. Okay, so I mean, he got here fine. He didn't move around. But again, one of these loose sleeves, why not just make this a perfect fit sleeve? It doesn't even have to be double sleeved. If you're going to put it in one sleeve, one perfect fit sleeve is better. But again, we end up with the double opening on the top. So if the card slides out of this, it can slide out of this. And in that loose envelope there where it wasn't, wrapped with an invoice or anything like that, that could cause damage. These can get jostled pretty hard. It is rare, and again, I'm being nitpicky, and thankfully it didn't. But there's just room for improvement there. We could double sleeve, and if we're not going to, probably a weird jump cut there, had to sneeze. But what I think is better is putting it in this way, and then if you could slide it in to the bottom carefully, like so. There you go. Now there's no way for when I pull this, it has to all come out. The card can't slip out of the top because it's closed, and if it's worst case scenario, it's going to slide all the way forward like this and then slide the bottom down, and then the bottom might get scuffed. But that's better than the top being open and the entire card coming out and then coming out of this and being loose in the envelope, So it's the same thing where it's not as good as it could be, but it's still better this way, I think. I don't know if that's more of a pain to package or not, but I just think that's a little bit better. So, we don't love this because it's so flimsy. It's a little bit of extra protection, but it's just way too flimsy. It was loose in the package. We didn't get a double sleeve. We got a loose fitting sleeve. We didn't get it put in top down, whatever you call that. So, I mean, again, I'm just going to call this like a 6.5, something around there. Card got here fine. It's in good shape, but there's room for improvement. So we'll call it that. All right, so 3 left. We'll do one more big envelope, then the little one. We'll end with another big envelope. This one here, I can feel the hard case. We like that. Right in the middle, you can feel some paper in there. We have adhesive, sticky, nothing on the front. So I feel the paper there. There's no paper here, so we'll rip through. Let me take a peek inside. Okay, so yeah, I definitely can't show you this one because it has all the information right on the front, but what I could show you ever so briefly with hopefully no information coming through, this is the invoice right here, this paper. Again, folded up perfectly the size of the envelope with the card tucked in this inner layer here. That's perfect. That's a lot of extra security for the card to prevent it from moving. It can't move this way. It can go up and down, sure, but we love when people do this, so that's good. Now let me slide it out and get the card out. Now if the card's taped to the inside of this, it's going to be a different story, but oh my god. Okay. So I think, let me do this. I'm going to actually just rip this, probably not even very nicely, just to get the information off. So this is what we had. Okay, left the order number on there, so I had to re-tear it, but this is how it was. It wasn't like this. There was a nice fold here. I'm just a barbarian that can't rip things. And then the rest of it was folded over this way. So it was in here taped to the invoice, which we like when they include the invoice. This is actually, that's not bad. Okay, I don't love there just being free adhesive on things because again, it's going to get on my fingers on the cards I'm about to touch, and it could just like stick to other random things. But as far as tape goes, that's kind of the nicest I've seen. I thought it was a whole piece of tape across the top. That would be annoying, a lot to pull and peel. This just ever so gently came off, had a little bit more security by being taped down there. It's not going to slide around in the envelope. So that's, see, like that. That's okay. I don't hate it. I don't love it either, but it does prevent the card from sliding around, so we like that. Now, we have an extra protection here for our cardboard. I think that's just to help prevent it from sliding around. Plus, now we don't have adhesive on this, so we could, just chuck this if we wanted to. We see the do not tuck here, which we talked about, why we don't like those being tucked. And we have the cards. The card. Okay. One single loose sleeve with it open on the top. Again, we've talked about this before. It's not our favorite thing. We would prefer a double sleeve or a like this with the thing at the bottom. I guess if this is tucked down, you don't really run the risk of the card sliding out, so it's fine to have it the way that they had it. But we do know that even though it's unlikely, the way the card sits in here, there is room for it to slide out of the sleeve and be touching cardboard if it's in there a little bit on the top, with this getting some edge wear. So not the best, but honestly, I mean, this is fine. Again, I think it's going to sit right around like a 7.5. We had the good folded over invoice, keeping it secure, the little bit of extra adhesive. That wasn't the best, but was fine to keep it really secure. So there's really no way this thing was going to slide around in the package. It's just if the package itself slid, this could kind of slide out of the top and touch the cardboard, which isn't the best. But really fine. 7 and 7.5. Didn't love it, didn't hate it. So we got two more left. Why don't we'll do another envelope, because most vendors seem to ship in these envelopes, so you get some good comparison between all these different types. And then we'll do this one last because it's a little bit different. So again, card here in a hard case I could feel, which we like. Nice and in the center. Paper here, no paper here. So we'll rip through. It's my tape that's making it hard to open. That's all that is. So we'll do that. Take a peek. I think I could show you this. So again, no invoice in there, nothing to keep this from like, oh, is it taped? Let's see. Yeah, it is. Okay, so I can't pull it out this way because it's taped in, so we're gonna have to open it this way. Very easy to open, pretty light adhesive on there, not the worst thing in the world. But again, it's taped like this, so if I hadn't ripped the side, now I have to be like peeling at this stuff, which isn't the best. It is masking tape, which again, if we're going to use tape, masking way better than Scotch. So points for that. The tape is going to keep it secure from sliding around in here at all, which is good because they didn't wrap it in the invoice to keep it secure, which is fine. And honestly, a little piece of masking tape. Ooh, why is this ripped though? Did I just do that? It's possible I just ripped it. In the process of pulling this out, which again, you can see that's why tape isn't great. Anytime you have to pull against anything, it's not the best, but that could just be me and my lack of adroitness with my hands. But besides that, I think this is packaged about as nice as it could be. Where's our opening flap? Okay. Let's see. I think this is I think it was the very first one we opened, where this is our ideal packaging. This in the hard case, so even if they come out, they can't go anywhere. And let's see what we have. We don't love cramming too many cards in these because it can be hard to open it wide enough to get them out when they get squeezed in there, but 2 is fine. And they are in single... What's going on? It's like stuck. Oh, it was sticky. That's strange. Yeah, single sleeved, kind of loose sleeves. Not the best. We prefer, again, double sleeved or perfect fit sleeve, top down. That's just what I prefer. But this is fine. You know, I'm not saying every vendor has to spend money double sleeving every single card. We already got the hard case and the outer sleeve that's going to keep it all in there if anything were to go wrong. So, I mean, that's pretty much fine. It's not our favorite with the tape. What we would prefer is no tape and just folded in the packing invoice of some sort to keep it secure, because that will, you know, again, you could just use a smaller envelope and fold the invoice to the envelope size with the card in there, and it's just all tucked so nicely in there, it's not going to move, so you don't need the tape to keep it secure. The tape, that's ripping things, it's putting extra adhesion, all that. But as far as tape goes, masking is great. It was a very little amount of it right in the center. It did keep the card secure, and the cards didn't move. They were nice in there. We could do a little bit more improvement if we did double sleeves or top down or perfect fit. We didn't tape the top of this, which is great. We had it in this, which is extra great to keep anything bad from happening if they did move. I don't know, I'll give this like an 8. Room for improvement, but pretty solid. We like that. I always really appreciate getting the cards in the hard case in a case like this. That's what I feel like is the most secure. So pretty good. Give it an 8. And we will check out this last one now, because I've been rambling for way too long, and this is pretty interesting. So again, here we have the flap in the front with the shipping label over it. So this becomes a pain to open because I'm having to tear through this. It's probably not that bad. It's not the end of the world. You know, we're really nitpicking here, but it's just an extra thing that I have to do to get in here, and we don't need to be doing that. So dock points for that. We'll rip open the side, because that's how I like to open it anyway, which again, this would just be a nice quick straight tear if I wasn't trying to work around my tape up here. Okay, let's see what we got. So this is another one with the, I'll have to cover the order number, with this like adhesive shipping order information on it. It's the exact size of the envelope, so again, that's going to tuck everything in nicely. But what I think they did is tape it down to that, so that's exactly how that other one was, with the cardboard with the 2 tape on the side to the back of this, tucked in here nicely. I am going to just pull it off of that shipping and order information thing so that it doesn't get shown. But you can see it was just in here like that. Now again, this is fine. We don't love tape because we don't love adhesion sticking to things, but it's going to keep it very secure in the middle there, prevent it from moving. It's in a hard case. The hard case is in one of these, which is what we love. And let's just see how the card itself is. Oh, look, I didn't do this at all. Do you see? Let me actually try to make sure something is in focus besides my disgusting hands for once in this video. How do we do this? Come on now. Focus for us. Where are we at? There we go. Okay, so look, I didn't jostle this at all. You see how the top of that card there is out of the sleeve, rubbing against this hard plastic, and potentially it could even move more. So that's why we don't like tape at the top, because these do come out and then it's touching the tape, and that's why we prefer to just double sleeve them if it's like a more valuable card, or to do the top down sleeving, because then it's going to have to come all the way up and then shoot the card out the bottom, which is just a little bit less likely to happen. And also, you're not going to run the risk of, if this continues to come out, that it's going to slide out the top of the case. Now, in this case, it was in this, so it wouldn't go anywhere. But if you're just putting one of these in, you know, this card could slide right out of this. If I look, I didn't even. Okay, well, I botched that, but before I just dropped it with my fat behemoth fingers, I didn't even shake that much. I just barely did that, and look, the card is popping out of the case, right? So that's why we don't like sleeving things this way with a non-perfect fit sleeve open at the top. That's exactly why. These are the what is this, Ultra Pro? Typically, I don't know what brand this is, but you know, I think Ultra Pro is like the largest seller of these. I've noticed with mine, they do vary pretty greatly on how tight they are. Sometimes you just end up with one that's a little bit loose, and you don't want to have this in a loose sleeve in one of these hard cases that happens to be loose and have a card just slide right out like that. Again, it was in this for this particular vendor, so it's fine, but that's just a PSA to all vendors that you don't want to just ever have your card in there like that in an envelope. It could slide out, it could get scratched, it could get damaged. Just something to think about. We'd prefer, again, that this was in here like this, and just tap it down nice and gentle. So now the plastic is nice right there, and if this were to slide out again like that, it's protected, right? So that's what we'd prefer to see, but it's not bad, and this is quite a nice card too. I do like that one, which is why I bought it. So we'll give this one another like 7.5, I guess. The taping of all this together did keep the card very secure. In the envelope, with the shipping and order information being the same size as the envelope, is something we like to see. And you know, always having this around the top loader so that it can't come out. If it comes out is great. We just need to dock some points for the loose sleeve and the double opening at the top. This looks like a reuse sleeve too, you could see. Well, you can't see, but I could see there's like a tape mark on the top too. But yeah, so anyway, I don't even know if I'll upload this at this point. This was a lot of coffee infused rambling, but hopefully there's some good information in here. Again, you know, I'm not an expert. I don't like sell cards myself, so I know that there's like a lot more that goes into it, and I don't want to be too harsh in any criticism. I'm just someone that for years and years, I mean decades basically, has been ordering cards online, and I've seen a lot of different ways that cards have been packaged, and there's just some things that I personally like and some things that I don't, and I have my opinions about what I think is better and what isn't based on what I like and what I don't like. So this is just my opinion. No hard feelings if you know that one of these was your package and I said something that I don't like. And I'm sure people who sell thousands of these, you know, have their reasons for doing what they do and probably know better than me what works. But in my experience of just opening them, that's pretty much how I feel. So there's what we got. We gave everything some rankings. Everything got here at the end of the day safe and sound. The only one I'm bummed about is this, with the horrible centering that wasn't disclosed and the big ding in it that's still being called near mint. I'm not happy about that, but it is what it is. I'm not going to complain really too much. Otherwise, I mean, everything got here in good shape, and so we have nothing to complain about. There's just areas that we can maybe do better and things we can learn from looking at how other people do things. So I hope this was somewhat educational and perhaps somewhat entertaining. And at this point, I'm just rambling because I never know how to end videos. So I'm just going to go. Bye.